Good morning and welcome to Good for the Game TV. It's a freezing cold morning here in Johannesburg. As you can see, I'm locked away in my study. I've got a blanket over my legs. It really is nippy. Nothing like the conditions that the rider is going to be experiencing in France today. I'm seeing reports of 38 to 40 degrees Celsius. Going to be very interesting, and I believe it's had a bit of an impact on the outright betting, but we'll get to that in a bit. If you are new to our channel, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you don't miss any of our videos. Let's go straight away to stage 15. We had a little bit of a break, obviously, for the rest day. But let's have a look what happened in stage 15. A great performance by Simon Yates. He's really taken advantage of the fact that his brother's riding so badly. He doesn't have to ride in support of him anymore. And he held on to win the stage ahead of a flying Thibaut Pinot. Mikel Landa and Movistar, well, they absolutely lit the race up. They ensured that this race was run at a hard pace from the start. I've seen stages with more attacking. I'm not sure that I've seen a stage ridden so hard from beginning to end as I did on this one, and such a tough stage as well. It was an incredible stage of the Tour de France, and once again, this route, and for that matter, the riders have really lived up to expectations. My podium pick, Emmanuel Buchmann. He's still hanging out just outside the top three, but he's going solidly. I can't see him breaking away to win, but I'm just hoping he can keep riding consistently and gradually work his way up to the top three. Egan Bernal, he showed some decent form as well, putting a little bit of time into his teammate Thomas, who by all accounts wasn't as under as much pressure as we thought, because the moment Alaphilippe dropped off his wheel, he managed to move on. Just talking of Alaphilippe, he finished just outside the top 10 there. I think he was actually 11th. And let's have a quick look at the general rankings, because Alaphilippe, of course, still holds a handy lead, 1 minute 35. But if you look between second and sixth place, I think it's something like 36 seconds or 39 seconds between Geraint Thomas and Buchmann. And you even can't discount a guy like Landa, who's sort of just over 3 minutes away from Thomas. The way Movistar riding, they're certainly going to try and set a few traps. Let's quickly go to the outright betting. I'm going to pop onto World Sports Betting. That's wsb.co.za and have a look. And this is interesting. I have seen Thibaut Pinot after the stage the other day. The general consensus was that if Pinot keeps riding like this, he'll win the Tour de France. I suspect that is correct. But Pinot has, while I've seen 12 to 10 and 13 to 10 in places, he's actually drifted with World Sports Betting to 17 to 10. And I can only imagine that's due in part to the weather, because he doesn't like the hot weather. And the next 2 days, which fortunately for him on mountain stages, are really high. I believe it might drop a little bit for the alpine stages, but Pinot hasn't got a great track record in the really hot weather. So there has been a bit of a drift. 17 to 10 is certainly the biggest I've seen about Pinot. The man who's moved in a little bit is Geraint Thomas. And I think it's on the back of comments that he wasn't actually struggling in the last stage. Bernal obviously followed the move of Pinot, and Thomas did the teammate thing there, and he didn't want to pull Alaphilippe back up to them when Alaphilippe dropped. I'm not 100% sure that Thomas isn't struggling just a bit, but he certainly, with his preparation, will probably be peaking towards the end of the tour. So there has been money for Thomas. There's some 7 to 2 around. He's coming to 3 to 1. Bernal showing Ineos' strong hand. Well, he's 9 to 2. He's looked good, but not the best at this point. But also, young rider, hasn't got the Grand Tour experience, but certainly gives you the impression that he could get stronger as the tour progresses. Julian Alaphilippe, well, here's an interesting one. I mean, you can imagine, those of you who've been watching my videos will know how involved I am on Alaphilippe. I need him not to make the top 3 and not to win the actual race. But I'm feeling a lot better after the last stage. With a few kilometers to go, he was still on Pinot's wheel, and then he did start to struggle. And I think that could be the beginning of the end for Alaphilippe. I mean, in theory, he could still hold on. But I think where he's going to really battle, as I say, is when he gets attacked. He doesn't have teammates to cover the move. If you look at the likes of Kruijswijk, he's got 2 teammates up with him in De Plus and Bennett. Buchmann even can count on a bit of support until quite late in the race. Alaphilippe, I guess, has to hope that Enric Mas recovers from whatever was bothering him. I believe he had a bit of sickness there and can support him in the mountains. So that's your outright betting. I don't really think you need to look beyond the top 6 in the betting. Possibly Mikel Landa at 66 to 1, but I think the best he could probably hope for is a podium. Let's just quickly look at a couple of the other classifications. King of the Mountains is quite interesting. Pinot now 2 to 1 favorite there. Of course, they have quite a big bet on him to run in the top 3. Simon Yates, well, he's shortened. He was 5 to 1. He shortened into 7 to 2. And I'm talking about 5 to 1 after the last stage. He then made comments, Van pointed out on the forum, that he wasn't interested in the jersey. And it seems like everyone's read into that he is interested in the jersey, and he's actually shortened in the betting. Bardet has clearly shown an inclination to go for it. He seems to have better legs as well. He's 5 to 1. We can expect some action from him when we get into the Alps. And Tim Wellens, the incumbent, he is going to battle. You can see he really does struggle on the bigger slopes. You can look down there if you think anyone else can get it. I mean, even okay, Pinot, yeah, is the favorite. I mean, even like a Bernal or something is probably not totally out of it, but they're not going to be going for the jersey, the GC guys. They'd have to get it by accident. And that's why I think there's a good chance Pino will be beaten. You could probably find some value elsewhere. Right, let's go on to the stage itself. Stage 16 looks like one for the sprinters. At there's a few lumps along the way. A little bit of wind expected, but nothing too serious. But the one thing I will say is at this stage of the tour, you've got a lot of tired legs. And it's going to all depend on what sort of break gets away. If they manage to let the traditional three-man break of the weaker teams get away, then it's a guaranteed locked-on sprint finish. But if some of the stronger rollers look to get into the break, and there are some areas here where they might be able to launch attacks, even including right at the start. Will Newton points out in his preview that there's a bit of a gradient right at the start there. So some stronger men could get off. And then it's really going to be difficult to bring the break back. And the reason for that is you look at teams like Quickstep. They're obviously now also looking after Alaphilippe. We even saw Viviani riding at the front of the peloton up a Pyrenean mountain the other day. You've got Jumbo-Visma for Groenewegen, but they've also got Kruijswijk right in the mix. They're certainly not going to want to burn their team. I mean, you're not going to see what you saw in the earlier stages. You've got Bennett on the front. I just can't see that heading into this stage. You've got to look after Bennett. He's got bigger work coming up in the Alps. Lotto, of course, will chase because of Caleb Ewan. Bora, well, they might. I actually suspect that Sagan himself might try to get into the break. They might be able to get another rider into the break as well. So this is the one where I think the breakaway's got a fairly good chance. And then let's pop to Will Newton's preview on Twitter. Always worth a read. I think a lot of people missed his preview on the rest day, and we're so happy to have it back. But he points out here that just about 17 kilometers from the end, you've got an uncategorized climb, so it doesn't have a ranking, but it's 4.3 kilometers at 3.3% with the hardest ramps at the foot. Now, you can see that that's very close to the finish. Now, early in the tour, I wouldn't say this stage, this climb would be a factor, but we've got some tired legs in the peloton. We may have a strong break at this point. They can use it to stay away. Alternatively, we might even get some of the teams like Sunweb with Michael Matthews, burning it up here to try and put Groenewegen and that under pressure. So this little climb, it can play a role in a couple of ways. I still think the most likely outcome here is the bunch finish coming in, and Groenewegen we'll see in the betting. Let's go to the stage betting. Now, bear in mind, with World Sports Betting, if you do back the stage winner with them and they run second, you can get your money back. You do have to email them promotions at wsb.co.za. I think the email address is. But anyway, you can see the T's and C's on their site. They've got a little promotions tab somewhere up here. I've been to admit. Oh, there we go. If you click on that, you can go and find the promotion. But here we have Dylan Groenewegen. He's 37 to 20. He's won one stage so far. Caleb Ewan's also won a stage and just been picked off a couple of times. He's 28 to 10. He looks pretty strong at the moment. Viviani, how much did that work on Sunday's stage take out of him? He's just over 4 to 1. Peter Sagan, well, as the tour goes on, you can't count this man out, 6 to 1. And Alexander Kristoff, I was considering a podium play on him. He is 11 to 1. He also tends to get stronger as the tour goes on. And then we go down to Cabrelli at 25 to 1. Interesting to see Sunweb. You got Cease Ball there at 33 to 1. It is expected that Matthews at 50 to 1 will work for him. But for those of you who followed me on the Matthews green jersey bet without Sagan and had written that bet off, it still looks in a bit of trouble. But it was interesting to see him take the 20 points on the intermediate sprint when he was in the break on Sunday. So hopefully a bit of hope that Matthews hasn't given up on staying in contention in the green jersey. And I'm secretly hoping he either gets into the break or has a bit of a sprint at this one. That's the stage there. Let's go on to my bets for the stage. On the good for the game, but I'm going to be pretty speculative here. So Chris Sturdy, my partner at Good for the Game, he's gone for Niels Pollitt in a couple of stages. And I was very interested to see Will Newton has decided that a break could stick here as well. And he's also gone for Pollitt. He reckons he'll be thereabouts. Now, here you can see the price, 200 to 1 at Hollywood Bets. And let's just pop over to Hollywood for that there. 200 to 1 on Niels Pollitt. And the other one I fancy, a strong rider, and I think AG2R with Modena out of contention are going to try and get men in the break. And Oliver Nason, he's generally around the 80 to 1 mark. He's 125 to 1. You can see I've got these typed in. I will be putting a little bit more than 10 Rand on, but you don't have to put too much on when you're back at these sort of prices. I'm going to be putting this on as soon as I've got the preview up. So those are my bets for stage 16. We'll post a link below to my newsletter. I'll be sending out probably my second to last or third to last newsletter tomorrow morning. I'll put a link to that if you want to be on my mailing list down below. And I'll also put a link to the Good for the Game forum thread. I'll just scan up a bit here. You'll see some quality posts from the guys here. Southpaw, always one to be respected, one of our best horse racing and rugby punters. He's going for Bonnell outright. And a nice analysis here on the rest day from the Van, one of our veteran punters. And he's going for a few. You could see he picked Thomas at 15-4. Thomas is shortened right into 3-1. He liked Yates at 11-2 for the Mountains. That's shortened. So Van has been on the money. This is a real speculative play. He's gone for Ineos to win the team competition. He's hoping a bit of politics within the Movistar team might come to the fore there, and it certainly could do that. That then, the preview, good to have you with us. We're in the home stretch, everybody, and things are only going to get more exciting. We've got such a lineup coming up, and keep looking ahead at these Alp stages. Cannot wait for them. Tomorrow's stage, bit of a hilly one. I've got, it's not going to be one for the sprinters. Could be one for the breakaway or the stronger sprinters. A guy like Peter Sagan will certainly have a chance. We'll preview that and get that up here. And as I said, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do pop on below and subscribe. And look forward to seeing you for the balance of the Tour de France.